haven't seen that. Did they do that? Hey, welcome. Welcome, happy Friday. Welcome everyone to Designing Adobe XD. Wow, that's the first time, I think maybe they debuted it next week, but this is the first time I'm seeing that new intro up and going for the show. So welcome everyone in the chat. I am super excited about this show today. In a serendipitous, aligning of the stars, we have all of the Adobe XD design team in town today and through next week, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to bring some of them on that I actually don't get to see in the office like every day. And two of my favorite designers from our New York office here in the studio today with me. We have Avalon and Glaren, and we're going to be bringing on some more in a minute. This is going to be kind of a fun little musical chair today, sort of interview style. So if you guys have any questions for us about Adobe XD, about how we work as a team, about our journey, let us know. We're just here to kind of introduce you to more of the team who's building and designing and building and using Adobe XD every day. So welcome everyone. Cedric, thanks for joining us. Hervé, Kapil, Eric, Carlos, welcome guys. And let me turn it over and let them actually introduce themselves. Oh, well, actually, first off, sorry, I'm Talin Wadsworth. I'm the lead designer of Adobe XD. I'm just getting ahead of myself. See, I'm a little out of practice. It's been a while. I haven't done this in a while. So, right, welcome. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Avalon. I'm a senior designer on XD. Currently, I'm working on some onboarding stuff, messaging. And before that, I work on a little bit the design tooling as well. Mm-hmm.
Very important parts of the tool, onboarding. She's working on some really cool stuff. All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Glaren, French designer, been in New York and working on mostly design system stuff. Everything that you see on the panel on the left, assets panel, and then Creative Cloud libraries as well, and just everything in between connected to assets and design system in general.
My favorite features in the application, I love the assets panel. I kind of live and breathe the assets panel. These guys, I never stop talking about it. The chat knows. So, someone was saying reminds me of Brian Ferry. I wonder what that was in response to. Excellent, guys. I never get to spend enough time with Glaren and Avalon. These guys are doing amazing work out of our New York office. So welcome. I thought we could talk a little bit about kind of what you guys, of course, you mentioned what you're working on, but tell me a little bit how you got here. Like, what's been your path in design? Like, how did you end up here working with us on the team of Adobe XD? Like, Did you see yourself designing a design tool? Like, was that like, that's always one that kind of blows my mind a little bit. Like, I'm designing the tool that I'm actually using to design the tool. Like,
which is crazy.
That's a crazy gig.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like how you got here. Like, what's been your journey? How did you end up here at Adobe?
I guess by accident. I don't know. Because if you're talking from the very beginning, I was in college. I was studying to be an engineer, so I kind of decided to switch my focus to HCI. I think a lot of people study HCI as a grad school. And after that, I moved to New York, joined the big agency world. So
from engineer to designer in an agency.
Yeah,
that's a big jump too.
Yeah, it's really fun. So I think that during my 5 years in agency, I've seen a lot of amazing other designers like doing amazing things for me. And I think at the time, I think it just feels right to like fulfill my logic personality. Since I'm coming from engineering background, I want things that's more challenging, more complex. So being on a software, design tools, that kind of like a move that makes sense to me. There's a lot of challenging problems that we solve every day.
Yeah. That's definitely one of my favorite parts is just like I'm very process oriented, and like that's a fun problem, like to think about, like how can we be better designers? Like, what is that about? How do you design something to begin with? Like, what are the steps you take to like create something? Like, that feels a little like a really like abstract puzzle to try and like break down, you know? So yeah, I definitely see that.
That's the ultimate stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
as a designer, you're like helping all the designers
Super meta.
design.
Oh man,
Super meta.
super meta. Yeah.
It's not everywhere you can do that. So
Yes, actually, Michael just posted in. She totally didn't mention it, but Avalon is also an amazing illustrator. So you should all go look at her work on Behance.
oh, here's Kevin.
Nice post, Michael. Hey, this is Kevin Tamura, another of our colleagues here from Adobe Design. That's another cool thing. We all work as part of, like, we're all a big, that's actually why everybody's in town, is we have a big team in Adobe Design, and we're all going to do this cool 3-day event next week.
Yeah,
Little
it's gonna be
design
cool.
summit. So that's why we have the pleasure of sharing these talented designers with everyone on the chat today. How's everybody doing? I said hi to Kevin, Eric. How's everybody? You guys got any questions for Avalon and Glaren? Let us know. Yeah, pink is the new black, by the way.
That's cool.
I love that Adobe XD pink. And how do you guys feel about the pink color of the icon?
It's connected to, you know, branding was like InDesign, right? Like, which is a lot of people say it's the InDesign of you know, the web. So
It's a
or
big
digital
inspiration
stuff.
for
So yeah,
sure.
it's connected.
I love InDesign. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Glaren, how did you go from playing? No, I'm not going to mention it. I always do.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
always do.
happen.
I'll let you mention it. I've overused. I've overplayed my hand on that one.
No,
what's been your journey? How did you end
journey.
up designing a design tool?
Yes, I'm from France. I studied in France, and then I made the move to London for same thing, kind of like agency world. I was very into like branding stuff, and then got into digital stuff, and then I actually got hired. Not through Behance, but with a colleague, Clément Fedi, who's still he's working on Adobe Portfolio now. So French guy too, and then made the move to New York. Did a bit of mobile stuff, like asset stuff and mobile stuff for maybe a year or two, and then XD, more than over a year now, and so that's the journey. I think it's like, for anyone that is a designer, the dream is to be with Adobe, as in you get to design whatever like everyone is using in the world of creativity. So it was not something that I had ever imagined, but it was definitely an opportunity that I took when I had it, and I'm glad I did it.
Wow.
So,
I mean, when I found out, actually, I mean, you know, because seeing the team grow has been, you know, it's been a big part of the sort of like just my overall joy and satisfaction on this project, is that like this thing has gone from like a few people to like a few more, and every time we've added new designers, like I just loved like what each of you have brought to the team and the different perspectives and different interests, and I just think it makes it a better product overall, you know. So
that must have been funny for you, because you were there from like the right beginning, right?
Yeah,
so
it
you
was
started growing, and then now we're like everywhere.
It's crazy.
New York,
It's crazy. But you know, like
cool.
you know, it's. I think there's been this thing that I was wondering if you guys have kind of found this. Like, we as designers, we form kind of emotional attachments to our tools. I was interested, like, what was that first design tool that you really, that first visual, what was that first tool that really hooked you, that really became part of like your identity as a designer? Do you remember which one that was? Yeah.
I think, you know, I used Photoshop when I was in school and all that, and
yeah.
that was like, you know, the #1 tool. But just thinking about Kevin, that was one thing I remember. It was probably like 2 years ago. It was, you know, you guys were still maybe like 2 or 3 designers, and it was Kevin and myself and then 2 other designers just in one room trying to figure out something. And it was the first time ever I think both of us were using XD, and you know, you're like, as a designer, although you're very into like technology and like, you know, innovation, all that kind of stuff, we're still very like, you know, true to what we've been using for years, and that's the workflow that we've had, and so we want to stay with it. But I remember we were kind of forced to use it, and now that I'm looking back, I'm like, why didn't I do that sooner? Like, crazy. But yeah, it was like one of those moments where for a week we were like using XD, and I remember I was like, oh, it's gonna be hard to like get used to it, and then in like a few hours I was like hooked. It was like done. So yeah, it's funny just to think about it. So
yeah. Chat, what was your favorite tool? What was the tool that you really formed that attachment to? I know for me, it was Illustrator. Illustrator, Paint totally counts, Alejandra. Like freehand, actually, fireworks. The reason why, like, I got there was all these like feelings built up inside of me, and what really turned into like all the work that I did on the early days of XD was because fireworks was kind of sunsetted at the time. This design team at Adobe had a real strong connection to fireworks, and like no one else did. And that's cool. Yeah, so it was really the inspiration for XD was the loss of fireworks. But Avalon, what was yours? What was that tool for you that you really that you kind of relied on and did a lot of like early work in as a designer?
I would say, okay, I think back then Adobe product, I think I use the most is actually Flash.
Flash, yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
when I grew up, I have a group of friends that we like some computer stuff. We like to make website, and Flash on website was the big deal back then. And I'm always the Flash guy trying to make the coolest entry animation for the website and the loading.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So
lots of time.
Yeah. So that's a big part of my memory.
One of my first Flash projects, it was a build your own snowman game website.
Oh.
Yeah. Flash, another big inspiration on XD.
True.
Yeah. Definitely. We've got some people saying there actually was one vehement hate Illustrator. It's I know many people who share that same sentiment. Illustrator is not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that. So Howard chimed in. Corel Draw was a great program. Really great vector drawing in Corel Draw. Clement, your friend Clement, sort of joining us. Hey, Clement from New York. Are you in town this week? Did Clement?
Yeah,
come in
he's
town?
next week. Yeah, he's next week. So.
Excellent. I will see him next week. Fireworks, Dreamweaver was a great. There's a lot of Dreamweaver people working on XD now. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, okay, real quick. One thing about XD, maybe could be a little tip, little unsung. What's one thing that you would both say that you would want everyone to know about XD? What do you think? What's that one thing that you go to every day, or like a little thing that you really want to highlight in XD?
It's a tough one. I mean, to me, like the repeat grid. That's like even though I like the asset panel, but I'm too, I cannot talk about that one. But it's like repeat grid was like mind blowing. That's like one of those like innovation stuff that I wish I had the idea, but I didn't. And I think it's a fantastic. It just matched exactly what a product designer is doing every day, which is repeating stuff, and you gain so much, like you just save so much time using it, and it's like a simple button and does the job. I know that every time I share it or I do like demos and stuff, and I share repeat grid, everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Now we're talking." It's one of those. I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, or maybe I'll mention two things. So like repeat grid is definitely one of them, because when we go demo to like users, that's like always like the aha moment that people just turn the faces light up pretty quickly. And I think another moment that's really magical is when we showcase that if you use a color from the asset panel and you change the color, everything just change, update at the same time, and people just say, "What? Can you do it again?" So I think,
those are great. We got some votes for the repeat grid. Overlays are great too. I won't mention any others. We'll save it for our next guests. Thank you both for coming on.
Yeah, this is fun.
And seeing you in the office, I wish it was every day.
I know, it makes a big difference.
We'll have a whole show talked about the challenges of working remotely, and we'll do a remote stream one day. Maybe
that'd be fun. One in New York.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna do a little switch here, a little musical chairs. Next up, the crew from Romania. I don't know if you know this, but two of our very talented designers are actually in Romania, and here they come to join us right now. And actually, I'll wait till she sits down. But yeah, one of the most tenured, oldest design. I don't want to say the oldest designers doesn't sound quite right, but here I am. So again, these are two I really don't get to see in the office all the time. Carmen Ruse and Jolt Ince. I always mess it up. From our team in Romania, joining us now. Thank you both for joining us. Super excited to have you again. Like I rarely get to see you guys in the office.
Yeah.
It's only when we have these big design summits, it feels like, but we're gonna try and make it happen more often. I've never been to the Romania office, which I heard is pretty good.
You should.
I need to.
We should.
All right. Well, thanks. And thanks for joining us in the chat. If you guys are just joining us, this is Designing Adobe XD. I'm Talin Wadsworth, your host, and I'm here doing a live Q&A with some of the very talented design team from Adobe XD. So if you have any questions for us, for Carmen and Zsolt, or again, for any of us here in the chat, let us know. Thanks for joining us. Jason, great to see you. Robbie, Benjamin, Carlos, how are you guys doing? Tell us what your favorite feature in XD is. Again, maybe I have some questions here. All right, so let me actually let you now introduce yourselves. Tell us your name and what you've been working on.
Cool. So, hey guys, I'm Carmen. I'm, I guess, the third designer.
You were the third designer.
Yeah.
Carmen was the third designer on Adobe XD, yes?
Yeah, and I'm also, so I've been always a big fan of fireworks.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was kind of a match in heaven. I guess right now, I'm working with Zsolt and the entire engineering team in Bucharest at everything that's around integrations with other tools, be that Adobe tools or other design tools that make sense for all the designers that are using XD. I worked on the integration with Photoshop and Sketch. So right now you can actually import any kind of Photoshop file or Sketch file. And in the future, we're going to bring this to more tools. In the past, I've worked also with bringing XD to Windows.
Yeah, that was a huge effort. That's I don't know if you, I don't know if do we have any Windows users on the chat today? Are you using Windows on XD on Windows? Little note, XD was one of the first third-party universal Windows platform applications, which is Microsoft's new kind of framework for Windows 10. Oh, we got one, Ron.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, that was huge. That was, you guys did great work on that stuff. So, including some touch features as well.
Oh yeah.
Some that haven't yet.
Yeah, they're
still working on them. Still in the making. So. Good. All right. Excellent. Carmen and I have worked together for a long time now. Yeah. All right. And now, actually, someone who was previously here at Adobe Design has left and now come back and just recently come back.
About a month and a half.
Zsolt,
2 months.
Yeah. Welcome. What's going on, man? What have you been working on?
So I joined Carmen in the Bucharest office and I'm working on making XD work with other products because you're not really going to use only one thing to finish your product or prototype, and making that almost a seamless communication. When you need something in some other product, then that should be almost an effortless way of using, because Adobe has a lot of amazing products, like insanely powerful products, and using all those effortlessly is what we're working on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that when I first joined Adobe that I feel like the dots hadn't quite been connected all the way, where you didn't use just one tool to get a project done, right? And that's actually probably why I gravitated towards InDesign. I don't know if anywhere else has this. I'm sure everyone else knows this. Like to get any project done, you were using Photoshop, maybe Illustrator, probably InDesign to sort of bring it all together. And XD really has been sort of likened to InDesign in that way and sort of bring all these things together. And I know one that these two are working on, right, is actually After Effects, right?
Yeah.
Integration with After Effects. What do you guys, I think that's one that I've seen on the chat before. If you guys, I don't know, do you guys have any questions maybe about that or maybe interesting ways in which you're working with After Effects? Are you doing that? Have you thought about that? Are you doing UI work in After Effects? You should definitely follow up with these two right here. They'd love to hear about it. Tim, great to see you there up from Europe, Team Windows. Ron was saying that their entire team at HP is using XD on Windows 10. That's really amazing,
awesome.
Ron. That's really
Very
cool.
Great.
Yeah. So you guys, you probably have one of the biggest challenges on the team because you are working, from Bucharest, and it's a huge time shift. What are some of the challenges? Like, what are some of the things that you guys do to try and work in a very collaborative way with the team here? Like, What are some of the challenges you face?
I guess the biggest and the most obvious challenge is the time difference. And I guess for me, it was just shifting kind of my personal life in the morning so I can go, and stay later in the office. So it's kind of like trying to balance your life and work and make things, work as smoothly as possible. So yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. All my friends kind of know that we're gonna meet for coffee in the morning.
In the
and
morning.
that's-
In the morning. Sometimes I feel like I actually like get done. Like there are things I need to do during my day, and I get done with work, and everything's closed. So
Yeah.
But that is a huge sacrifice. You guys like that. These are two of the most dedicated designers I think I know. And I think anyone working remotely. Do you guys work remotely on the chat? Do you guys have experience? Do you like share some war stories? Anything that you ways you get around that? I don't know. Joel, what are some of the things that you try and do?
I've been only here for
Doing that because you were working with you were previously just working with some startups there in Bucharest. Yeah.
I know it's pretty easy at least with the XD team because people are very open.
Yeah.
There isn't this San Francisco and like Silicon Valley, and this is where all the cool decisions are made, and then we leave the dirty stuff to other countries.
Yeah.
It really feels like a collaboration. It's very cool. Plus, I knew some of the designers before I left.
Previously, yeah.
And I was always. We always felt that there was chemistry, especially with Lars. We should have worked together, but we never managed to, and now we got to.
They finally are.
Yeah.
Look at that. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Let's. You guys have any questions for these two? Anything about what they've been working on? Eric, actually, someone was mentioning that animation in XD would be really awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's some things working on that, Eric. Don't you worry. We have a lot. Some people. Linda works remotely. It's a huge challenge. I know that something that as the team has grown. Of course, Carmen being one of the first. I know that just Slack has been a big part of our process. I think we have as a team a couple Slack channels that we kind of keep up and running.
Yeah.
I think one where it's all about critique, one that's just more about communication, and one that's just more about how are you feeling this week, which has been kind of one of our new kind of innovations. So Slack's been pretty good. I'm gonna say
Yeah, totally.
How did you guys end up? Oh, actually, maybe let me see. What was I gonna say? Was kind of more interested to asking you guys what's an interesting fact that because I know that I don't get a lot of face-to-face time with you guys. So what's an interesting fact about you that we because if we're working very closely together, you get kind of more exposed to some of that stuff. I know that you have a very giant dog.
Oh yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. When he always shows up
very
on video
lovable.
chats, yes, I'd love to meet him. But what's another kind of what do you get up to when you're not designing XD in XD?
That's a very good question. Sometimes I'm kind of wondering that. No, I think that. So since I got my dog, basically I kind of started figuring out that there's so much nature and so much stuff you could do outside of any kind of screen that so basically just going out
Just
in
disconnect.
disconnect. So that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to do right now, just to go out and hike or whatnot. So going right now because it's summer and the seaside, and my dog loves water. It's kind of like I have the perfect excuse to be outside of my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very big dog. Okay.
The most
white wolf.
It's
lovable.
the white.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like the Game of Thrones.
Yes, Winterfell living up there with
Yep.
the wargs and
It has a lot of energy.
So I think I find that really valuable though to you need those things outside of design to really recharge and come back. If you're thinking about XD all the time, it can be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
I know. When I'm dreaming about features in XD, I know that I've gone a little too deep. Joel, what about you? What are because you're actually really new to the team. So tell me a little something that no one knows. An interesting fact about you.
So my entire life I actually tried to be an engineer.
Yeah.
I did computer science.
Evelyn as well.
But my heart
background.
always was drawn to design, and the way I actually got into design was Flash. I think it's like the OG of prototyping.
Flash, so good.
Yeah, I miss Flash. I was very sad. I was minor depression when Flash was sort of set aside. And that's how the Flash was a place where you could coding and design was it worked together. I did a lot of ActionScript stuff. And I actually got into user experience design by accident. I had to move to Bucharest because of my current girlfriend.
Yes.
Well, the remote relationship doesn't really work. So I just applied to an internship with like Adobe. I love their products. So just why not? It had design in the name. I didn't even know what it was. And then I read the design of everyday things, and I was like, oh yes, that's me, because I cannot use things the normal everyday things. I just have a hard time like checking into a hotel, connecting to a Wi-Fi. And I always found that it was frustrating. There's something wrong with me because I can't make them work. But the book said it's something wrong with the designer who made the thing.
There you go.
So I took it to my heart to try to eliminate as much frustration for others.
Yeah, I kind of find we're all problem solvers in a lot of ways, designers, a couple of questions. Actually, Mark on the chat had a question about kind of like how we work together. And I thought maybe this would be kind of a great one for you guys to tackle. Tell us a little bit about like the day-to-day working there. Like, how do you work with like, say, PM and engineering? Because I think there's something that I think that we try and kind of how we try and kind of organize ourselves that might kind of help maybe other teams who are trying to figure out how to best work with, say, product and engineering. Like, what's the kind of setup from the team?
So I guess the best thing is that we're all co-located. So it's very easy to kind of have discussions right there in the moment. So that helps a lot. And one thing that we tried to do as a team was to include as much as possible the engineering team into our design process. So we kind of invite engineers into our user interviews and into any kind of more prioritization process. So that helped us a lot to work as a very united team and to kind of be able to speak the same language, I guess. So that makes it easier for us as designers to create something that makes sense, and we don't have to have that fight against, you should do it the right way versus the easiest way. So that helps us a lot, and I think it's kind of the best.
Carmen did a really good job of like getting the teams to collaborate. And it was very easy for me to join a team that was already having a very open communication. Everyone was on board of actually helping the designers and making their lives easier and enabling them to create amazing products.
And I guess we're probably very lucky because the entire team is very detailed oriented and they understand designers, they got to understand them, so our lives is really easy because they know the language. So I guess we're lucky.
And engineers call us on things that I really don't think that's like the principles that you have taught us, you didn't respect them there. Like, they keep us in check.
They really are. We are really lucky, I think, across the XD team. Like the engineers that we have are very aware of design and the role that it plays, and see design as really key collaborators. And it is less of that waterfall process where design is handing off a final solution. All the parts of the team are really involved from the get-go in planning and prioritizing and iterating on features for Adobe XD. Emily wanted to know what breed your dog was, Carmen.
He's a Swiss Shepherd, so like a white wolf.
Yeah, he really does look like
breed.
Best breed.
We can have a live stream separate.
Separate. We'll bring him on.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, so before I let you go and bring on our last guest, what's one thing that you want everybody to know about XD that no one knows and no one's using? Like, what's a feature? So we said we heard repeat grid, right?
Not sure. So I guess we're also lucky because we kind of have access to like new features. I'm not sure if
Let's leave those ones out of
there.
We are using builds that have features that other builds don't have. Yes. But what's like one that you like maybe from that you designed in the past that you really love that maybe not like not a lot of people know about, or one thing you use every day?
So one thing that I really use is just the way things work with masking. So you
Mm-hmm.
just drag and drop an image into any kind of shape, and then you can just double click it and rearrange the image. This is so easy, and it none of the other tools have it as easy.
I know, it's really
So
good.
it's just a time
so
saver.
Good. So good.
Yeah.
Jolt, what do you think?
I love global colors.
Global colors.
The moment
yeah.
I set a color, like the problem with like colors and swatches in general is that you do your design, you're like, oh, I need to remember that I need to set it and then go back and do all the things. And in XD, I just set the color and it knows.
Yeah, it
it's
just
in
picks it up, yep.
control of all the colors all the time.
Ah, so good.
That was like
Time saver.
instantly.
I live
fell
with
in
the
love
assets
with
panel open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, excellent. All right. Linda, paragraph spacing is on its way. Thank you both for joining. It's great to see you in the office, and I'm happy you're going to be around all week. So, all right. Thank you. We're going to bring on our last guest here, who actually I wanted to introduce everyone to the newest member of our team. She's going to be joining here in just a second. And I think about it too much in my head, and I'm not going to screw it up. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was gonna get it right. That's exactly what my brain was telling me. Gayatri Gaikwad. Yes, I am just, my brain gets thinking about these things way too much. Is joining me our newest member of the team. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Adobe XD team. Welcome to the stream. Everyone, give a really warm welcome to Gayatri. We are super excited to have her on the team. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
And joining, just like totally agreeing to just like jump on the chat like cold turkey, just like, just jump right in the water. It's totally fine. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, from the beginning.
No, we're just like, so where are you coming from? I know you just had a huge milestone in your life because you just graduated.
Well, yeah, I finished my master's.
Your master's
in
yes.
Atlanta, and the way that I got recruited in the XD team was through a Creative Jam event of XD.
Of XD.
And I went to compete in it, and I met Vignesh, who's my manager now, at the event, and I was kind of giving him some of my feedback on
about XD.
About
yep,
XD.
About using
and I was,
XD.
And I was like, oh, I'm also looking for a job. Do you have any, very casual, like, do you have any positions open? And he handed me his card, and he
Just so
said,
happens.
yeah. I contacted him on LinkedIn, and 2 weeks later, a recruiter contacted me. And it was one of those rare times when someone actually responds to your, like, do you have a position open email? So yeah, magically ended up here.
We were so impressed with the work that you were doing, both from Georgia Tech and also what you were doing just previously, where you were actually a designer and co-founder. Tell us a little bit about that. What was that?
I worked in India for a little bit of a time, and I founded this company with a friend of mine called Ultrabeat. So the new generation of designers in India kind of are looking for outlets where they kind of, in India, design is kind of only now becoming a career. It was always something you kind of did for a hobby. And
like
same with things like, wanting to be a pastry chef or things like that. So Ultrabeat is finding your alternative beat. So we posted creative jobs. And like kind of internships and stuff. So if you don't really see internships for like being a pastry chef, but there's like wedding season or marriage season in India, and like some pastry stores need a sous chef or something, and you can kind of go and get some training, and before you like quit your day job and switch to a creative career. So it's kind of like an internship portal, but for creative jobs.
That's great to give, just as a platform for exposing people to creative opportunities.
Totally, and it was really fun to do it as a designer, because I kind of understood some of the frustrations of wanting more creative projects, but not knowing a place to get them.
That's just one of the projects that really let our team know that the Gayatri was going to be kind of an amazing candidate for our team. David, what's going on? I've been talking with. I'm actually really interested in David and his crew from Nigeria. They're doing amazing work, and he's amazing for tuning in at 9 p.m. Welcome everyone. We're just kind of wrapping up here with Gayatri, our newest member of the XD team. So, Gayatri, tell me a little bit about like what you were interested in coming and joining the team in XD. Like, what was it that got you excited about actually designing a design tool?
I think, well, I guess to back up a little bit, I went to design school in 2008 as a graphic designer. And before that, like when you were asking a couple of us what your favorite design tool was, I think for me, probably started in like first grade or second grade when my parents in India got us our first like PC at home. And I thought I was the coolest person because I was very good at Microsoft Paint.
Oh, yes.
Like I would create my own version of Vincent van Gogh Starry Night, but
in Microsoft
Microsoft
Paint,
Paint, and I would print
That's
it out
amazing.
and put it up in my room. So I think like I started with design tools from a very young age, and I kind of never ever imagined that I would be working on a design tool, and I was kind of just like, well, this is kind of like the circle completing itself, right? Like designing for a design tool.
Yes.
Yeah. So
No,
that really,
definitely.
and I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm giving myself more responsibility than I do have, but then it's like kind of being able to shape what designers can do the next gen, especially with XD, giving them some of the tools that we can provide them could shape how interactions are even created.
About what outputs are created, what
Exact-
experiences are created.
Or how people even think of design, like
Yeah.
some of the gestures or whatever. So I think that's really kind of the exciting part.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think about Flash and about one of the reasons why Flash is such a, I think, it's a touch point for a lot of designers. And for those who didn't get to experience it, you know, like here was a tool that allowed you to create an experience for the web, and the web being so limited at the time, but that really allowed for designers to really dream and really execute on a vision that they had. And rather than being constrained by a framework or constrained by technology, really allowed design to push experience of the web forward. And you know, one of the things I think that kind of lines up with kind of what you were saying, that you know, like if we can create you know, really amazing tools, then we can help designers create really amazing experiences for the future.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we are really excited to have you on the team. Thanks
I'm
for
excited to be
joining
here.
me on the chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Friday. I feel great. I'm so excited to be back. The new intro. You know, we're just getting going with the designing Adobe XD. And again, you know, like if you guys have any questions, feel free to join us every Friday at noon. We'll be back at noon starting next week. You can also reach out to any of us on Twitter. Feel free to reach out or through Behance. Send us your questions. Tell us what you want to see in XD. Again, this is just a way in which that we like to operate, and we just like to think about design. And we're all just really excited to create a great tool for everyone to use. So thank you for joining us, Linda, Tim, Ron, and of course Michael and the Adobe Live crew doing an amazing job here every time we're on. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday.